listening to the Questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the Questionnaires.
I've just started right here for your ears, for your eyes.
What'll it be, stranger? Well, I don't know. I hope y'all over there serving up some of the Questionnaire. You know, we got all kinds of things going on over here. I mean, we just literally ended what I'm going to call season 1. I've decided. Season 1 is ended. All right? All right. And season 1 ended via Vladimir questioning myself, the unknown factor. Your host, typically, but for the last episode, it was Vlad, right? So, I don't know if you noticed, there's a few little switch-ups over here. Hopefully, I've accomplished them all, and they all look nice and pretty, and there's this and that. There's also a new intro that I don't even know what it sounds like yet, because I haven't made it, but I'll get to that at a later point in time, right? We've also started the rotating co-host. Yeah, and there was one of those. There was one of those on season 1 with Chrissy Wiseman, right? We're going to have several rotating co-hosts coming in and out, man. All kinds of great quests coming up, man. So many great creators coming on here, interviewing creators with my crazy. That'll be entertaining, right? But to join my crazy today, yeah, is Dave. Dave's not here. No, I'm just kidding. Dave's here. Dave's in the house, man, from Mage's Comics and Games. How you doing, bro?
Welcome, mutants and metahumans. How are we this week?
I told you that was better than like the way I did it, wasn't it? Do you think, honestly, or was it worse? I don't know. Let me ask.
No, I like it. That's a fun intro.
Yeah, I think that's way funner than like the way we used to in prior. And that's just my, you know. But that is the show, just slowly adapting, and I think it's important for that to happen. Now, like I said, this is the beginning of season 2 of the Questionnaire, which you can call me on how I broke that, because I just kind of did a bunch and then was like, right here, we're just going to do that because I feel the need to. And it's funny. There's like around 90. Dude, I ran that like an anime, Dave. I did. Like 80, 90 episodes in the first season. That's what's up, right? But season 1 was kind of a hard R.
We're gonna go. We're gonna go take on the grand line now that we got the crew together, and go another 1,100 episodes.
I mean, I don't know how many episodes season 2 will be. I might just, who knows when I'll decide to change that. But the ironic
thing, it's a Netflix series, so it's only got 3.
Oh, wait, what?
It's a Netflix series, so it only has 3 episodes.
I'm gonna do it. I swear. Like, this is season 3. It's these 3 episodes. What? And here's season 4. All right, whatever. But I think it's funny that on this particular episode, we decided to go from an R to making it all nice, and we're gonna try and get that TV. I don't know what, dude. I don't know TV ratings. It's not TVMA over here anymore, though. But I think it's funny because the creator bringing on tonight, right? I mean, if she wanted to try and do that, she'd have to earn some redemption before Corissa Grant could ever consider the book she writes to be anything but a hard R. Corissa, how you doing?
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
You wrote a hard R book.
I did. I absolutely did. I don't think there's like a page without a curse word. My mom's review that I wanted to put in the back of the hardcover, it said, she sent me a text and said, I finally read your story, and besides all the F words, it was pretty good. That's my mom's review of my story. But yeah, I curse a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I just like I enjoyed it. I just got through the first 2 issues here fairly recently, but I think it's funny just based on how that aligned. It slightly amuses me. So, out of curiosity, with that in mind, what just got you into with a pen? Firstly, you know what I mean? Like, why write stories for others?
Actually, I write it for me, and I just allow others to read it. And fortunately, they like it. But I wrote this series with my co-writer. I personally started writing 17 years ago after playing Resident Evil 2. I RP'd as Claire Redfield for 15 years. And I had this story idea, and I just held on to it for a while, for like 11 years at that point. until I met my co-writer, and I asked them if they wanted to take the role, and she said she never takes roles, but that she would take this one. So literally 24 hours after meeting, I gave her an idea that I held on to for about a decade. And that was it. We were obsessed. And to explain how it relates to the story. So we wrote the story while role playing. It wasn't to write a comic. It wasn't to write a story. It was just for us being obsessed with our characters and our stories that we've gotten to 100 issues or so, and we're still writing. Now, what makes our comic book a little bit different than anyone else's is the two main characters are written by two completely different people. So I write the story, and I write Serafina, and then my co-writer will write everything Draven. So when you're reading it, everything Draven says or thinks is what my co-writer wrote. And it gives the two characters completely different personalities, and it makes them more unique. And we never write for the other character. So, yeah, you get those personalities there that help out.
What happens when those personalities bump heads?
It's been 3.5 years and hasn't happened, but I'm sure we'll just argue about it and then move on.
It's a page fight. It's like, the characters get into it, they ruffle and tussle, and Roddy Piper and Keith David, they live style. They put on the sunglasses and they go, "Hey, you're right," and someone comes out winner.
No, our characters have never fought, and with each other anyway. And we don't fight during writing.
That's good. Yeah.
And we are very lucky that we think a lot alike. And I think there's only been 1 or 2 times where we're like, I don't want to do that or something. But generally, we think the same. And we wrote over 1 million words already. Like 6 months ago, we reached the 1 million word mark. And the first series is 45 issues. And then it can end. It has an amazing ending. It's complete and all that. However, if we wanted to, we can go into series 2, which is already written. That's 30 issues. And I just started series 3, which is 2.5 books into. So we got that going. And then there's a prequel. So yeah, there's a lot of writing for this.
I'm curious because I didn't really I didn't mean like fighting. I just mean like button heads, because that happens in a writer's room. I'd say a lot of times. But firstly, I certainly hope y'all ain't fighting like that They Live fight. Because firstly, if y'all have not, if you are a fan of a fight in a film and you have not seen the fight between them in They Live, that is one of the greatest fights in a film. Period. I'm sorry, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, dude. And name 1,000 films that are, way more current, like John Wick and this and that. But that's a great fight. But I certainly don't hope you fight like that. I just meant like something more minor as far as, in a disagreement of maybe one of you kind of wants a character to respond one way, but you totally disagree with it writing that character. That never has occurred in a 3-year period. That is miraculous.
We know our characters pretty well at this point. But no, we've never had that. But we're like soul writers. We've thought about other random stuff, but not about replies or the characters or where the reply is going or how they talk to each other or all that stuff. So, we haven't had that yet, and it's been about 3.5 years. So.
Okay, now I'm gonna pick on you on some comic things because I have to, right? Because I truly see, especially in reading your comic, why Ghost Rider would have been one of your favorite characters early on. He wasn't my favorite character as a kid, but you said him and Nightwing. But I did enjoy Ghost Rider. I've always enjoyed that story as far as how it's played out. Why do you say sorry, Superman, though?
I don't like Superman.
Okay. All I have to say to that is because I used to think the same, and Dave knows it. And Dave's seen the turn. And the turn was caused by none other than fearless Fred Kennedy, right? During a PanCon where we were discussing mythology in comic books. And Fred, great guy. He'll be back on the show here pretty soon. Him, Alan Holder, different cast. It's gonna be a heck of a PanCon, right? What about it, like that character, is it that you don't like? I'm curious.
I just think he's boring. Nothing he does fascinates me in the least. I didn't like the movies. I didn't like the comic. I don't like anything about him. I don't think he's clever. I don't think he's funny. I think that yeah, I have no interest.
I don't want to say it because when Fred said it to me, I ended his quest with him and Nick. Not the PanCon. The PanCon where he changed my mind was a later discussion. But when he said this to me, I was kind of like, Fred, we're done. I don't want to say this, Chris. I'm going to save that for that very end bit. Let me note that. All right. Right? Because I don't know. I kind of looked at Fred and was like, what? Dude. But he did it to me, so I'm sorry. It's just me paying it forward. And it's not like terribly, terribly harsh, and it is entirely Superman related. All right.
No.
But why? So you just don't read any mainstream anymore? Like, what do you read?
All
Like,
indies. I backed
okay.
them. I backed over 100 and something indies in the last year. Nightwing, Night Wolf is a big one from Rob Matari. Currently, Path of the Pale Rider, which is actually live. The trade paperback is live now by Lori Cacatella. Mine, obviously, and there's lots of them. There's so many indie creators out there that have so much more heart and soul in their stories and better art. Better stories, better dialogue. There is no comparison at all to mainstream, and I have no interest in reading them. The mainstream, anyway.
Okay. Now, to that, I would say there are a lot of great things, a lot of great places, and that it's just going to be dependent upon the perspectives of the reader. Yeah, I think when you get to where you're, you know, not a kid anymore, I think there are certain stories within that you don't relate to as much. But that's because they're like, look, I didn't like the Miss Marvel show. I didn't. You know what? The Miss Marvel show wasn't made for my ass to like. It wasn't. It wasn't. It just wasn't something I was supposed to enjoy. You know? Well, I mean, or it wasn't made for me. You know, it was made for an entirely different audience. And I think within the comic book community, you have to understand that especially the big two, are aiming for that largest crowd as possible, which is the crowd with the disposable income. It's when you see people that are more writing on the independents that they're writing more personal stories. Therefore, I think those personal stories are more apt to affect you in an older age, you know what I mean? As opposed to when you're younger, hey, look, he's flying around and blowing things up. Isn't that cool?
No.
It is. I can agree with her on a lot of that because, you know, yeah, I work in a comic book store and, you know, 90% of my stuff that comes in is the big two. But we do have the crowd that wants books like Nice House by the Lake or Something's Killing the Children. These books, you know, were on the fringes, you know, 5 years ago, and now they're like our hottest sellers. The horror stories, the crime noir that's being written by like Brubaker and Phillips. These guys are. It is starting to shift and bringing in, you know, more crowds because there's more love put into each one of those characters that's being written. So I'm totally down for that.
Mainstream is just they just mill these out like you know, child labor, you know, not child labor, you know, like a conveyor belt of stories that have horrible writing, horrible dialogue, the art has gone so downhill from back in the day. I don't even know what's going on over there. I'm sure there's great mainstream comics out there, just like there's crappy indies out there, but none of it is worth my time or my money or the effort to find those good ones. They lost my trust multiple times. And like I said, I'm sure there's great mainstreams out there. I prefer indie, because when you have a mainstream, you have a team of people that probably don't even talk to each other or know each other's names. They do this work that they don't care about. They have nothing related to the story. They just get a paycheck. They have no interest in it. They don't even know what probably the story is or anything about it. You get an indie person in there that put their heart and soul in a story that they probably couldn't afford to make and still did it anyway. That deserves my time way more than the junk that's coming out of the main two.
Preach.
Sorry.
I love it. I love it. No, hell yeah. We've got guys that have been coming into the store for years, and we're always joking. We're like, oh, I thought you hated comics. You know, it's the joke that, yeah, I hate comics. The guy's like, yeah, I can't believe I'm still buying this. And he's mad that he's buying the new issue of Amazing Spider-Man and completely, you know, ripping the story apart and everything. We're like, well, why don't you buy some of these other stories over here that you might actually like? I don't know anything about them, so I don't want them.
Real
And he'll
quick,
just keep buying the crappy books that and complaining about the book.
real quick, Dave, have I ever done that?
No,
I think my
get mad at me.
complaint. Yeah, my only complaint's ever been like, dude, I really want to just get this, and all this right now, and I ain't got that or this for it, as far as, you know, whatever.
And then I'm like, hey, Jay, have you read this book? And you're like, no, don't make me read that one. And then you're like, darn it, put it on my bull list.
Yeah, he does it to me all the time. But I'm curious, Krista, what do you all consider mainstream?
The big two, mainly. I mean, they're just soulless
Okay,
moneymakers.
I was just curious more than anything else if you included any other companies within that.
I mean, you
Like,
know,
because
Image is turning into a more mainstream than anything, but I don't find them as soulless. I think they still care. But
Image
there's
is
still soulless situations in it. I don't collect anything Image. I have more respect for them, but they are pretty much mainstream. But I don't do anything except if it's not on, you know, an indie creator that I know, I don't read it. Like I said, I'm sure I'm missing out on a ton of stories. But I rather put my money that actually helps somebody than to just release same old thing over and over again. So
Very punk rock, and I love it. I love it. Yeah.
I mean, I love both aspects of it, and I can't agree with the art and the story. I mean, there are some where they are just churning it out, but I think there are others where they're pieces of work and they're pieces of excellence, and these people do care
sure
for
there
these
is.
characters. You know, I think there's both. And as far as the art, look, I've had some artists from both Marvel and DC on here who yeah, like Mike's done Swamp Thing. You know what I mean? And he did
You
that one
talking
on
about
the show.
current artists or past artists?
I'm talking about people currently working for them. Yeah.
I have a lot of past DC, Marvel, IDW. I have a lot of those artists. I think the only one I have is current is probably I think his name is Ivan Tao. Did I say it? I think he still works with Marvel. But other than that, all mine are past. Like they left when it was good, I guess.
See, and I mean, I can think of a lot of instances where there's that exact same thing. One of them is going to be a rotating co-host, actually, where they moved on from Marvel, and then they ended up just doing their own thing indie-wise. And I know, Dave, I mean, I don't know, I know you could probably name this a lot more than I could, but I mean, even that's how Image formed, was a bunch of guys doing that.
Yep.
Yep.
They were
yep,
tired of the two mainstream and they wanted to do their own thing, and they did what they wanted to do. And I applaud them for it.
And the Kirkman
I got rejected by 2 publishers that wouldn't even read my proposal because my story, the first series, has 45 issues, and they won't accept any entries that have more than 3 issues because they said that only 50% read the second and even less read the third. And then I told them that that's because you have horrible stories. Because clearly, if we had a better story, they would want to read more. So I am currently on issue 9, and I'm in the middle of my artist is in the middle of drawing 14. So I have a Kickstarter every other month. I ship within 2 or 3 days, and I just find that it's way more exciting than I ever thought it would be. It's also like I had a dream to do this. This is the weirdest thing about me, I think, that I've been told, that I never, ever, ever had the dream of writing. I was dyslexic, so I never even wrote. So I would have, if you had asked me, do you want to be an artist, a comic writer, or do you want to be anything that has to do with writing? My answer would have been no. But this story is just something that I've been incredibly obsessed with. And I wanted to see it as a comic. And fortunately, my writing converted amazingly well for comics. And now I feel like it was meant to be and how it was supposed to be without me knowing it. But I'm also glad that I wrote 100 issues without considering making it a comic first, because it made it more of a true, writing. It wasn't for the money. It wasn't because, I had to do a deadline or anything. It's not Game of Thrones where you know the ending, you think you don't know what the ending's going to be and winds up sucking. I already know what the ending is. So yeah, but this was not an intentional story. It's just a story I absolutely love and want to see it made. That's pretty much the whole thing of it.
Okay, then I have to ask, and we're gonna get into let's get into that a little bit. The story of redemption, right? Because you very much you sent me the first issue, period, right?
I usually send either 2 or 4, depending on how long ago I sent it.
You sent me 2.
There you go.
And when they were the first, because when I started reading the first issue, I'll be real honest, there's part of me that's like, I feel like I'm missing something that happened before this, and even through,
like I feel like a couple people have said that, and then I mean, I feel like were you reading it or were you skimming it? Because people don't realize the first thing is a dream when she literally says,
no,
I've had
yeah.
the same dream
The
for
dream, yeah, the
10
dream,
years.
and then the dream, and then, but okay, God, Chris, I'm terrible with names. I'm really
Sarah
terrible
Smith,
with names.
right?
So, what's the other dude's name who's possessed?
Cameo?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe I missed something. I
Angel?
sometimes have to.
The answers aren't all in issue 1. It is a long running series. You have to, you have to be patient and read it.
I don't know. I that really threw me off, to be real honest, by reading the first 2 issues. Is I feel like there were certain questions
That's the point. It's
that,
supposed to be questions.
I mean, that's fair, and I understand that. And there were certain questions that I don't think should have been questions at that point within the story. That's just my opinion. Mainly just a bit more about that particular character as far as in that. And again, I don't know. I feel like this is something that I definitely would need to read more of to be able to get the true context of this. What made you decide to, one, make it something that had demonology in it? You have all of this within it. It was a very, very horror-oriented comic. There's a great deal of bloodshed. And to do all that, and then to also make it very, very cryptic on top of that. Because look, if you're reading something like that looks like that, most of them, they don't have as many questions as that particular story. Does that make sense?
No. I want people to question it. I want you to go through and be like, I'm going to keep reading until I find the answers.
You misread what I said.
I'm
Right
sure I
there.
did.
It's fine. What I mean is most stories that are like
Not
that.
most stories. Don't
Well, I
compare
know
me to
that's
other
fine.
stories.
Well, that's fine. I'm just curious what made you want to make sure you put in that many questions. Like,
I
what
didn't
made
make
you want to make it
anything. I
so
made a
questionable?
story and people are reading it. I didn't do anything on purpose. It's just how the story is written. That's it. There's questions. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of history that comes out eventually. It's not, it's meant to be mysterious. It's meant to not give it all away at once. It hints at things to come. It's supposed to intrigue, and I'm sure it's not for everybody.
No
But
comic is.
yeah. Huh?
No comic is.
What?
No comic is for everyone.
Oh, well, yeah, nothing's for everyone.
Yeah, but there are comics for
yeah.
everyone.
But
That's the
it's
important
supposed to
thing.
be intriguing. It's supposed to want you to read it so you can find things out. You if you're so impatient that you need all the answers in 1 and 2, you probably shouldn't read a long-term story. That's why I purposely clarify it is a long-term story when you first open it. It's meant to be. You will not even, I don't even think you get half, if even 25% of the answers until maybe issue 7. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of questions in it. And it's yeah.
And that's completely fine. I mean, as a fan of Sherlock Holmes that's even read the books, I'm completely fine with that. I think even answers to certain questions should make more questions. I'm just saying, this is just my personal perspective from reading that. There was just one question that I feel was left perhaps overhanging for too long. And if you would have answered it within those first 2 issues, it would have given you a probability of
And
pulling
what's
in
the
readers
question?
quicker. Just a bit more of what he did, like the possession and how that happens. Just a touch,
No.
though.
Nope. You know enough to, well, most people know enough to want to keep reading. Yeah, you actually don't even see what he actually does until like book 4. There's a long way to go. But yeah, he tells you a little bit as it is. But yeah, you don't find out for a while. So you kind of get every issue, you get a little bit more information. I think in issue 4, you find a little bit about his boss and all that stuff. But yeah, nope.
I like good mysteries. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want to be told things. I want to work it out. I want to grow with the characters. I want to learn about them as I go. I don't want everything handed to me. There more comes out in issue 3. So yeah, nope.
Is there a
you're very impatient for a reader.
Wait, Dave.
How many books do you have collected? I mean, how many issues have been finished at this point?
Actually finished. So 1 through 11 are completely done. 12 is in the middle of getting lettering. There's 10 more pages to go. 13 is getting colored, and 14's cover just got done today, and the pages start tomorrow.
Do you have any plans on maybe collecting the issues together as trade paperbacks? Cool.
This is our hardcover. This is the hardcover. It's the first 7 issues. It's 222 pages. It is $39, and it's available on the website and on the Kickstarter. You can get it as a tier by itself, an add-on, or with the other initial issues. It's all color. It's all glossy, and it's awesome. The speaking of DC artists, this is DC artist Ken Hunt, who worked on Batman, Superman, Harley Quinn. He did both covers, and it is colored by CC Dela Cruz, the current colorist of Lady Death Universe.
Yeah, I am familiar with that one. Yeah,
awesome.
Lady Death. Yeah, yeah.
And
great, awesome.
There are a lot of answers in here, just so you know.
Maybe that's the thing. I've gotten used, and Dave can attest to this. For the largest part, I've gotten used to reading comics in graphic novel form more than anything else as of recently. Like, I read more graphics than anything. There are some comics I pick up, and I guess sometimes I can think, but I don't know. I'm going to shut up about it, right? And we're just going to switch the topic. That's what we're going to do, right?
And the big guys are basically making their comics set up to be 6 issues storylines. But if you really look at a lot of the big 2 stuff, what 6 issues now would have been an issue and a half back in the 80s. They're so decompressed now that there's just a lot of fluff for a lot of the books, and how many double spreads do you need?
do I just not read enough of the big two, Dave? Because I mean,
no, I think you read a lot of big two. Yeah.
well, really big, just one. But really, you'd say I read a
Marvel Comics thing in the background.
yeah. I mean, look.
Too. I mean,
Firstly,
yeah.
if I could get one of those, like, for pretty much every imprint of somebody that I've had on the show, right? Like from DC to Image to, but I put all that in the background. I mean, my background would end up really, really full, but I'd be down with that, right? As far as because I'm just and I don't know, but then it's what do you do? Because I couldn't put all the independent creators because it's absurd. So let me ask you about that. What do you think? 'Cause you were obviously a comic book reader for a long time. What is it like to know that it's gone from, yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the big two. There were a couple of the publishers, but on the spinner rack back in the day, it was the big two, and that's what it was. To now, where I've had so many great creators on the show, and I've had creators from Pause. One moment. What the crap? Why did that do that? Okay. Sorry, I forgot to press a certain button and it just caused me an issue, but it's fine.
Just fondling his camera. It's all good.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do.
So much for keeping it PG, but that's fine.
That's going to be edited out. That won't be part of the interview. It doesn't matter. So as I was saying, with the industry changing so much, and now you have so many different creators, and like I said, we've had so many great creators on here, from people that are making their own books to people that are actively working for the big two and everything in between. What do you think of the market now and the impact that it's had, and the impact that it's had on the ability of storytelling more than anything?
I mean, I appreciate what the big two did to get to this point, because obviously we wouldn't have comics if they didn't do it. I just think, and I don't know how to say this in the most easiest way possible, I feel like they lost their way, and it used to be about the story. Now it's just about, getting the money to get out. I mean, I have certain, like, one of my colorists, he was offered a job at Marvel, and he's like, it's not worth the money they're paying for what they're asking for. It's like a sweatshop over there. And he cut his price for me by almost half so that he could do my colors, because he likes the story. It has heart, it has mystery, and he likes that it has potential to be a long-term story. And he said, I'd rather do this all day long than to work for Marvel, and any of that. So to me, it's just, I feel like they don't have any heart anymore. And like you said, it's very, there's a lot of fluff in it. My story doesn't have any of that. I actually have, my story's longer. I mean, my pages are 28 to 40 pages, depending on what I want done in that issue. And I don't charge more for that. So it's not about the money for me. It's about getting my story read. It's about me getting to read my story. And I just feel like it's a lot different. Plus, when you have so many people working on a story who they probably don't, any of them read it, and no one even knows what the story is until, probably maybe the dialogue person. But sometimes the dialogue is written before it's drawn, and sometimes it's drawn before the dialogue, and they go back and forth. As of today, I don't think they're helping at all, but I think they paved the way to let indies do what they do. So I give them a lot of credit. It's not that I don't appreciate what they've done. I just think they lost their way, and it's just nothing there for me now. I don't like, I mean, I'm waiting for them to be totally AI. Like, that's their next step. They're so close to being this soulless, system that just spits them out in an AI written and AI art, and I'm just waiting for that. So I jumped ship before that happened.
Well, I know that AI art is something that is brought up at our store a lot, because whenever there's even a hint of it, unless the book is specifically saying, hey, we're doing a experiment or whatever, and I can only say one issue of a book called Abolition Man came out a year ago, and it was an experiment, and it kind of got a pass, but anytime any other cover art comes out that people even suspect is AI, they're like, boom, they're canceled. I mean, no one will pick up the issue. So that's a good thing.
Good.
But
because let me tell you something. My husband's worried. First of all, my husband wanted me to use it before he even knew it was out, because I had such a hard freaking time getting an artist. I mean, so let me just tell you, I lost $9,000 on my first 2 artists. So even I would not resort to AI when I mean, that was like $9,000 gone, like wasted. Like I don't get any of that. So for me to say that AI is the most soulless system ever, and I would refuse to even have anyone on my timeline in my Facebook that has AI as their art. I will never allow that. And my husband's worried because he does music, and he knows that music is turning from AI too. Obviously, I'm a writer, and I have an amazing artist, and they're all worried about the AI. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think, and I could be wrong here, someone could be watching this in 20 years and be like, what a freaking idiot. But I think that because so much AI is going to come out eventually, I think real artists and real writers are actually going to be way more appreciated. Like they're going to seek out the real, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to be more praised than we think. Maybe not right away. Just like when the digital camera came out, photography was not people kind of pushed it aside. And then they realized, my husband's father is a photographer, and he lost his job and his business because digital came out. And then in a couple of years, they're like, wait a minute, this sucks. This isn't real photography. It's not, it doesn't have the life that a photographer has, and it doesn't have the gorgeousness of it. And he became more popular than ever before because he knew how to do it. So I don't have that fear that a lot of people have. I can understand why artists would have this fear. I feel like the art is a little bit more in risk of it than a writer. But I think both do have that potential to be screwed over by that. But I don't think it'll ever hopefully be popular enough. Like I said, it might get a couple of years out of, people. But it just can't compare. It's just, I don't know. It's just soulless. But yeah, it's soulless. It's very soulless. And people jump on it. They are, like you said, they're like what, like I've seen people post it and they'll be like, this is AI, but I feel really bad because there is some artists that actually do have a paint style like that, and then you got to question it. Like I've had 2 that I've seen that got beat down saying, oh, this is AI. No, they're just an amazing artist that does an amazing work. So in that case, it is getting a little bit unfair for these people to get beat down. So yeah, AI is it should be burned with fire. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Firstly, I fully agree. I think you're being very optimistic, and I only say that because you say AI is soulless. So are corporations,
Yep.
and that's why. And I
this whole show.
huh?
I've been saying that the 2 main are corporations. They are corporations and they're soulless. That is exactly what I said.
So
yeah.
So well, and I don't even mean just that though. I mean, even if you think about so many other things, like look, why do you need to go and pay some conceptual artist to design a logo for your whatever, even some car for whatever, some this, that, but when you can go and punch in a bunch of words in an AI thing, get 1,000 different results, put them in front of a focus group and get it, and you're probably going to pay less.
Yeah, or nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, that's sad. This saddens me. I am not cool with AI art, just to be clear. I just want to say, I think you're being really optimistic. I'm glad you're really optimistic. I hope that's the way that it goes. But yeah.
Well, I'm talking more of stories more than I could see advertising corporations using it more than anything. I'm talking about movies and art and all that stuff, especially since the way that the programs use AI art is by stealing other art,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
but huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah. But no, it's not.
I was just agreeing. I said agree.
I'm still use digital, but when it comes to advertising, it is more photography than digital. So, and it's true. So you might have that problem with the logo. It's not going to go away. But whenever I see someone decline it or reject it, it's a shining moment on the use of not using AI. So I refuse to use it. I have a role player that I talk to who uses it for ideas, and I said I will not use it at all. He goes, "Oh, it's just for idea. I don't care. I don't even care if it's to tell you how to do a greeting card better. I don't care. I don't use it at all. There's nothing I use, and I love technology, but when it comes to AI, I don't want any part of it at all." So
I think the only bit of AI I've ever seen that I found really, really kind of amusing was where they wrote part of a South Park episode with ChatGPT. But it was
yeah, I
literally,
saw that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's literally them clowning on the whole concept of it.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
It was
and
actually a guy in a room or something, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was so, it was, and we're not, yeah, it was like, it was good. It was the best take I've
Coming
seen
out
on it.
absurd by being absurd. I mean, that's South
Yeah.
Park. They're great.
Yeah.
It is.
But everything else in regards to that, oh, it's annoying. But can I say, if y'all can go check out all the pre-show questionnaires, by the way, where I don't get into everything that I ask any particular question that comes on the questionnaire. But I have come to the conclusion that pretty much every time I'm like, hey, what supernatural or what, place would you like to live in? What fictional world? Everybody just goes somewhere just to probably die horrifically.
I'm gonna die somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it ain't gotta be like horrifically. And everybody, look, I don't know. I said I go to my little.
To my ability to be a zombie killer. I can be in the Resident Evil world or supernatural world and survive for at least an hour. So
Really?
I
Now,
love
Carissa,
the.
say, now, Carissa, you said you do a lot of role playing. You play role playing games, then you D&D and stuff like that, or
surprisingly, no.
okay.
I used to hang out with the nerds that did in the comic book store. But I know the concept of it. I've sketched and drawn from the manuals of D&D. Yeah, so I love the concept of D&D. I do. And I have created characters, but no, I have never actually sat down during a game and done it. Mine is all the written based. However, I would like to do a tabletop for my story at one point or another because I've been asked like so much, especially when they hear that I'm a role player. They're just like, you got to have a tabletop. So I do have several people that are willing to help me make it a tabletop. So it may or may not happen eventually, and it's way cheaper than eventually. I want to do my two big things that I want to do. Like in a decade, when I can afford it. I want a survival game like Resident Evil Resident Evil Silent Hill kind of thing. And I want a rated R animated series is what I would want for my thing. I don't think there's enough adult R for violence and cursing, of course. But kind of like an anime, but I think that would fit my story way more than any actor.
Not all 13-year-old kids that are being sent out into the world to make their way, in death-defying situations. Oh, hey, you're 10. Here, take this little animal with you and go. No. Yeah. Oh, I dig it. That's great. I love it. I always hate when like TV shows like Supernatural, you're like, I love Supernatural. It's been on forever. But the guys are getting old and they can't do it anymore. So do it as an anime, and then we can just have these guys do it forever.
Yeah, Supernatural did have a cartoon, an anime. I think Jared voiced, but Jensen didn't. And I think Misha did, but I'm not sure. I think I saw some of it, and I thought it was funny. I love the Scooby-Doo episode. I thought that was hysterical.
Yes.
And I mean, there's only two. Obviously, I probably wouldn't be able to have these guys, but there's two main male actors that I would want to voice Draven, and one of them is Jensen, and one of them is either Jensen or Christian Kane. For anyone that knows Christian Kane, Leverage, Angel, all that stuff. Those are the two main that I would want. So yeah, those are. But yeah, as far my story's so long, so it could be they'd start off 28 like they're supposed to be, and then be like 100 by the time it's done. So yeah, I'm all for that. And plus, if someone dies or quits, you can usually get a voice to replace it more than you can get, an actor to replace it. Many shows fail after they have an actor that has to be replaced. So
yeah.
I mean, Jensen Ackles just took over as Batman for DC. So
I heard that. I love Jensen. I've met him several times. I've hung out with him. I'm gonna. Jared has my hardcover, and a couple of people have my hardcover. Jared has it. Jensen doesn't yet because I haven't been able to give it to him. But Jared has it. A couple of the other actors. Misha doesn't have it yet. I'll probably see them all in December. But Robert Englund has it. Norman Reedus from Walking Dead have it. A couple other people have it. So I don't know if anyone's going to read it. Robert Englund hugged it. I don't know why. But he signed my Easter egg of him in my issue 3. So he was thrilled. And I love Robert Englund, and he's the first horror movie I ever saw when I was 7. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, that was younger than me when I saw it. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not watching it per se. I was on the stairs staring at it. And I saw, the only part I can remember seeing is the marionette scene in Dream Warriors with the heroin guy. And I was fascinated. I thought it was amazing. So he was my first horror movie, and I absolutely loved it. And I just got to meet him 2 weeks ago. And great guy. I wish he would not talk to each person for 10 minutes, but besides that, 4 hours. 4 hours it took, and I was like the last in line with 2 other people. By the end of this line, we were like ready to have like weddings together. Like it was just and then we were there for 3.5 hours, and they kept telling us, you're probably not going to make it because he has to go to lunch and blah blah blah, and we're like, son of a whatever. And so the 2 wanted to leave behind me, and that was it. It was just the 3 of us left, and I said, you can't leave because A, it does not help me if you leave because you're behind me. And 2, B, if you leave, I'm going to make sure to get this autograph and walk by you with it. So you have to wait here until the end. And we did. We were the last 3 to get it. And I was super excited about it. And they finally made him stop talking so much. But he's amazing. So it was a really good thing for me. But yeah, I have an Easter egg in every issue, by the way. A horror game or urban legend, or movie. Easter egg in each one, which is somewhat annoying when you have to remember to put it in there. I almost forgot issue 13. It was the last second. I was like, oh, you got to put this in there. And then I actually really liked the Easter egg, but I have a couple in each. I have a license plate with Christine's license plate on it. I have the typewriter from Resident Evil 2 I guess all the Resident Evils that you save on. I have Freddy Krueger's sweater. And it's where it's supposed to be right before it's supposed to be something. So for anyone that sees it, it's not only a Easter egg, it is a foreshadow. So no one can yell at me for certain things. So there.
Very nice.
I just gotta say, and you got that cute little stuffed animal right there too.
And I have my cute stuffed animal. I have a ton of these. And let me just tell you something. When I started a year ago, I've only been doing comics for a year, and I got made fun of for my merch. I have been called the queen of merch, and they're like, you're an indie creator, you're not supposed to have merch, you are not a store, why do you have merch? And my answer every time is, I wanted it, and now it's tax deductible. So I have tons of it. I mean, I have my Anubis
Nice.
that I got. I have my zombie mental patient with the working straitjacket. Your birthday as the patient number on the back. I have you guys know Resident Evil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is my homage to the liquors. We have giant salamanders. This is a giant salamanders. I love him. He actually he started in issue 8, so he will be in issue 9 too. We have skeleton birds, and this one's not out yet, so you get to see it before anybody else. But we have this is my vampire chameleon bats. They are vampire bats that can merge into the background. So he has the wires in his tail and the wings, and his name is Chatty for a chameleon bat. He also squeaks a lot. So, but yeah, I absolutely love my plushies. I have like probably 7 more that haven't even been my merch. The merch that people see, there's like 30 tiers, and that's probably about 40% of what I actually have to put on there, but I cannot put all of them on there. So I have this too, and I'm very upset because it just arrived. It's the Soul Blade from, it has it says souls on it and Nokian on the sides, and it's from the story. And then I just found out literally today, these just arrived, and I found out that you're not allowed to have these on Kickstarter, even though it's 3D printed and weighs like 4 ounces. So I'm very upset about that, but they consider it a replica weapon, which, okay. So very upset.
Yeah, wait, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But you can take it to shows with you and sell them at the shows.
I'm gonna take it. I'm in Nashville, June 1st and 2nd at the Nashville Fairgrounds Comic-Con, and I will be there. I absolutely love that. I don't like big cons. I like the small and medium ones, and this one's like the perfect size. It's got just the right amount of people, actors and celebrities to get you there, but not enough to keep them from shopping, which is what most do. So I really like that one. Yeah.
I gotta say too.
I do PopCon is Indianapolis and in Nashville, and we do get a lot of names, but we try to make sure that it doesn't overshadow the creators. And we have what we kind of call the Etsy corner, or where it's all the independents, you know, so it's not just all the guys selling.
Yeah, it's one in Nashville, did you say?
Louisville. Sorry, Louisville. We'll be in Louisville in August, and Indianapolis in April. Is the 2 conventions that I work with, and I work with the celebrities at those.
Any idea how much the tables are for the one in Nashville?
They're not that bad. In Louisville, I can get that information to you.
Yeah, I like that. I like the smaller ones. I don't like the bigger ones.
But we'll totally link all that up though. But I just gotta say, I feel like as an independent creator at a convention, with everything that you've just shown, it gives you a slight advantage. But I feel like, what do you do? Like, because when you're at conventions, have you been at conventions and had all your plushes and everything, or at least a portion of them?
I generally don't take my plushies because I know this is not, they're very expensive because they're handmade. But I am taking, this time I'm taking the Anubis because these are my commercially made ones, so they're a little bit cheaper. It's $39 for the 3D staff and $29 for the foam one, so I think it's a little bit more affordable for people. But this time I don't take all my, I mean that's a lot of carrying to do.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I just feel like it would allow you to attract something that, you know, I mean, because typically it's just comics and some art. If you have that up there, then it's something else to catch the eye. I just didn't know if you had those out at the con. So my question to you.
Yeah, one of each or something. Yeah, this time I'm going to have my hardcovers for the first time. So I've been told they sell better and been told they don't sell at all. So I guess we'll see. I don't know. Hoping they sell well. Every time I'm there, they're like, "Do you have a trade paperback?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, we would like to read the whole thing together." And I was like, "All right, well." So now I do. So we'll see.
That's me. Sorry. I just
you're definitely.
You would have gotten way more answers if you had bought the hardcover.
Well, if I just had an endless amount of money too, this show would look a whole fundamental amount of different. But you know, there are a lot of things that are finite in this world, and ladies and gentlemen, one of them is certainly time. But always keep in mind, the wind shifts, you can't change it, but you can always shift the sails. I know that's not exactly what that said. I paraphrased. I just did, and that's what I did because I am the unknown factor, and I just do things, right? It's what I do, right? But I want you to check it out. All the links in the description. Make sure you check out Corissa's Kickstarter. Get into it. You can find all kinds of goodies on her Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of goodies. Like, it makes me like That's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of goodies. But on a different note, right? If you have enjoyed this interview on this
Mostly.
quest where we're trying to sail a little smoother,
Yeah.
right? And you've enjoyed
We made
Corissa,
it.
right? What I want you to do is I want you to send Corissa a dragon, right? Right. But do me a favor, make it look like this dragon is from the 1999 film Mummy. Just go with it, y'all. All right. Yeah, with a bunch of pizza and a bunch of almond joys and a bunch of them OG Transformers. You know, the ones that if you see at a con now and they're in a box, they're like $500 a piece. Yeah, those ones, right? That's
Like
if you
gas.
really, yeah, that's if you enjoy the interview. Now, if for some reason,
Look at that. Ravage.
The original.
what?
Nice.
I made him speechless.
Whatever. So if Carissa at some point in this interview, you just didn't like it, right? Carissa, don't take it personal. I do it to everybody, right? But if you didn't like it, right, for some reason, right, what I want you to do is send her a rake. What? What is that? Just like a literal rake?
No,
Rake.
the creature, the nightmare creature, the rake.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I was like,
Did you
what?
think I had a fear of leaves or something?
That's exactly.
I don't know. Some people got weird fears, man. What are you gonna do?
This is true.
Just the way of the world, right? So you know what? How about send her a rake smelling like pea soup with a rake to make her go rake a bunch of leaves. That's what
I'm
we're
not gonna
gonna
lie,
go
I do
with.
have somewhat fear of lawn care, so that it is somewhat accurate.
Gotcha.
I don't like lawn work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, I got you. That all works. That again is only if you did not enjoy the interview. I hope you all have though. I hope
I
you
enjoyed
this.
the interview.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I'm right.
like I said, for everybody out there watching, make sure you click the links in the description. Besides that, there's just 3 things I want you all to do. 1, give it that thumbs up, all that good stuff. 2, get your comic on. 3, have a good night.
Night.
We're listening to the questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the questionnaires.
I just started. Right here for your ears, for your eyes.
The questionnaire.
Get your comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.